Dubs fans, how we doing? Dubnation, how we doing? Golden State Warriors fans, seriously, from me to you, from C-Train Station to you, right at home or wherever you are, right on your phone. Are you doing all right? How we doing? How we doing? It's gonna be okay. The Warriors haven't made any moves, are still in the Jonathan Kuminga stalemate / holding pattern / what the heck is going on. But hey, I'm going to talk to you anyways. Let's talk about the latest and greatest sort of from the Warriors sphere. This isn't as, I don't necessarily have as much of an outline today as we are. There's not much, it's not a whole lot of news, but we have some things to talk about. So let's talk about them. Sit down for a little bit. Let's have some fun. So there was news out. There was news essentially this last week that the Warriors had reached out to Josh Giddey's camp, and that the Warriors might have been interested in Chicago Bulls guard Josh Giddey. Now, I immediately said this. Immediately, I put out on Twitter and I said, look, I don't believe this. I do not believe that any of this is in good faith. I do not believe that if this is true, that the Warriors talking to Giddey's people, that any of that is in any type of good faith. I believe, in fact, that it was, and this is what I said, that it was the BATNA. I believe that it was the BATNA to Jonathan Kuminga negotiations. And I'll go into that real quick. BATNA in business terms is like your best alternative to a negotiated agreement. It's something that you can do. It's your second, third option. It's something else that you can do, all right? I believe that the Warriors, in a business sense, that they are literally checking boxes now, and to flirt with or court another player or to accept those rumors was their BATNA. Now, it ended up that it wasn't necessarily that the Warriors had now what's coming out is that Josh Giddey's camp put out these rumors about the Warriors, right? And the Warriors didn't deny the rumors or anything like that, but it was more about Josh Giddey's camp trying to get the Chicago Bulls to come to the table and to sign actually with the Chicago Bulls. It was just trying to get the Bulls to up their own offer to Giddey. So I was actually technically incorrect with what I thought. However, it stinks that I don't know. Y'all, I'm not 100% sure if anybody in this Kuminga situation is operating in good faith. And let me tell you a little bit, just hear me out real quick. Because in the beginning of this, because Jonathan Kuminga doesn't do the things that really winning basketball teams really need, defense. He doesn't, he doesn't do it. Coach Steve Kerr has asked Kuminga to really dig in defensively, but hasn't happened. The rebounding hasn't happened. But just hear me out though. We're really at a basketball meets business impasse, because Jonathan Kuminga has value as a basketball player and business-wise. It's just, what is that value? And here's, so what I was going to say is in many respects, so let's just talk about it. Let's talk about it a little bit. This is really, because I have a few notes, but here's one way to, here's one way to put it. Some people have said, okay, the facts. I believe right now, as I stutter around, that the reported facts are that the latest and greatest is that the Warriors offered Kuminga 2 years, $45 million contract, a 1-and-1 essentially, where the Warriors controlled a lot of that. 2 years, $45 million contract. Kuminga came back and said, I want 3 years, $82 million, okay? 3 years, $82 million, the average is about to be $27-ish million a year. The Warriors were offering 2 years, essentially, but a 1-and-1, really, for $23 million. I get where Kuminga's actually coming from on that. 2 years, 45, so 22 and a half. It's, Kuminga isn't getting the value that he might get from business-wise And I'll just tell you, and here's the reason, like, Kuminga has said, but long story short, we'll continue to talk about this. It's tough because it's so tiered. These negotiations are so sort of nasty and tiered that I want to talk about it, but it's almost like you can only talk about it for so much. So the latest and greatest, Warriors offered 2 years, $45 million. Kuminga said no. Kuminga countered. 3 years, 82. The Warriors said no. So they're at this stalemate. I think that in this particular situation, with what we're talking about right there, that offer, I think that there is wiggle room, and I think that Kuminga's camp is a little bit more reasonable in that respect, honestly. I think that, however, as I said in my last video, my offer would be something like 3 years, 72 million, where it starts out sort of in the Warriors range of 23 million, but then escalates to $27 million a season. I have no problem with the contract of Jonathan Kuminga's escalating to eventually get that, because that's what going rate and value is. It just is business. It's difficult though, because it's like Kuminga right now right now I lean more towards it's right in the center, but in terms of year structure, I believe that Kuminga should get a 2+1. So I am way more on Kuminga's side with the years. I think that he should get like a 3-year contract. However, in terms of money, I think it should max out at 27. And Kuminga's camp thinks it should average 27. So I think it should be like 22, 25, 27. Kuminga's camp says 27, 27, 20. There's so much. That is not that much difference now that we're talking about. But the Warriors won't have any of it. They will have nothing of it. Okay? And here's why I believe right now the Warriors are leading the race. I believe they're leading the dance because of this. Right now, Jonathan Kuminga is in the Democratic Republic of Congo. He was supposed to play for his nation, for his club, for his country. He was supposed to play in the African, I believe, Cup of Nations. Is that what it's called? Or something like that? Okay. He's not doing that. He is not now on the squad. He was in the Congo, at the Congo, right? He is not on that squad. If Jonathan Kuminga wanted to bet on himself, which he said that he was going to, which he stated on Instagram, he would have taken that qualifying offer and he could have played for his club and country. It will look weird to me if Jonathan Kuminga now ends up taking a qualifying offer, which would be 1 year, $7 million or so, and then he's an unrestricted free agent. That's an ultimate bet on himself. Now, to me, it will seem weird if Kuminga does that when he could have done it right now and played for his club, for his country, for the colors that he represents, for the flag colors that he represents. He could have played. He means so much to the Democratic Republic of Congo. Congo means so much to him. And for him not to play for his country is a big thing, in my opinion. And if he eventually takes that offer, my question will have been, wow, did you just not want to play? Did you just not want to play for... And I know that sounds bad, but I'm going to go off of that. I asked like the AI or whatever. So this is a little bit messy, but I asked AI, like, has Jonathan Kuminga ever not played when he had the potential to play? Essentially, that's what I asked. But let me read this. Jonathan Kuminga did not play in the G League Ignite playoffs during the 2020-21 season due to a foot injury that sidelined him for the final games and the playoff loss. There were also reports suggesting he may have lost motivation towards the end of the season, with some teams sensing he essentially quit on the team. I'm going to read that second part. There were also reports suggesting he may have lost motivation towards the end of the season, which with some teams sensing he essentially quit on the team. There were some teams in the G League that literally thought that Kuminga quit on the G League Ignite. And what happened was, long story short, is at the end of the G League season, Kuminga came down with a foot injury, which was controversial. Some people thought that he could play through it. Some people essentially thought that he faked it, that he got his draft value up and then faked it. But long story short, that's actually a case in point where it is questionable where Kuminga had a possible chance to play, and it was questionable, or even that his motivation was questioned. And in my opinion, I would, if I were Kuminga's agent, I would have done the same thing. I would have had Kuminga not play the end of the season, even if there was anything. But then here's the thing: is that it still doesn't necessarily answer as to why other teams thought that Kuminga sort of checked out and quit on the squad, and Kuminga has had adversity with the Warriors, and there have been times where Kuminga has sort of taken in his drawbridge, batted down the hatch or whatever, gotten with his people, and then come out with a statement to Shams, and he hasn't communicated with his squad. He went to Shams about getting playing time and stuff. It's what? What are you talking about? Your coach is right there. Oh, but Coach Kerr is going to require defense and rebounding, and he doesn't do that. So basketball-wise, Kuminga, he is in a difficult spot right now. Because here's where Kuminga's side has some relevance. So it's it has been reported that Kuminga does not want to be on the Warriors. So the Warriors were okay, find a deal with a team and we'll trade you. So Kuminga found deals. He found deals. And the Warriors said, wait, no, you found deals, but no, we're not going to trade you. The Kings had a deal. I had an offer. I know that. Okay? So Kuminga said, I don't want to be on the Warriors. We don't fit. The Warriors were we sort of agree. Why don't you go find a suitor? We'll work out a trade. Kuminga says, I found a suitor. Let's work out a trade. And the Warriors are no, we don't want to do that anymore. We're not going to trade with anybody. It's what? That's a punk move. It's a business move, and I get it, but it's nah, that's going to burn bridges. I wouldn't want to negotiate with the Warriors after that. I was what do you mean? Why did I just waste all this time? I've been meeting. I did the, it's been said, it was Kuminga's met with staff, with staff on the Kings, on the Bulls, with everybody. It's what do you mean? The guy wants out. He's met with other teams' staff. He has negotiated a contract. We are now coming to you. Will you please let the man freaking die in peace? I'm just knock on wood. I'm just kidding. But dude. And the Warriors are no, we hold his rights. And now we're not going to trade him. It's got it. That looks bad on your business practice. So your reputation, in my opinion, the Golden State Warriors business reputation is absolutely lowered. It's lowered by the fact that Jonathan Kuminga did everything required to get the heck out of Golden State. The Golden State set. He checked all the boxes. The Golden State set up. They still won't let him go. So that's on the Warriors. That's on the Warriors. They could have done a trade. They could have done Malik Monk and a first, I believe. Okay, I get why the Warriors didn't do that. It would have included a bunch of other stuff. But it's interesting. It's just, the whole thing is it's a very interesting mess that the Warriors and Kuminga are in. But let's see if I have anything. So it's the Warriors, their players, the squad, what Stephen Curry needs, what the Warriors need, are players that are willing to sacrifice for the greater good of the team. Jonathan Kuminga has come out and said, I am now unwilling to sacrifice for the greater good. I'm done sacrificing. I was asked to do that. I was unable to. I will not do it. And now that results in an impasse, but I can get out of there. So what do I think is going to happen? I have no idea. I actually think that there will be a little bit of a middle ground. I think that 382 isn't so far off that they can't come back from that. So I think that in the end, Kuminga takes an offer of a couple years with the Warriors. However, that definitely both the Warriors and Kuminga have both sort of burned bridges. Both of their reputations are tarnished. But I'll tell you what, the biggest loser, there are two entities, two people sort of that I believe are the biggest losers. The biggest losers out of this whole situation are by far Stephen Curry, who's done nothing but been the best basketball player maybe ever for his club, right? Stephen Curry is the biggest loser, and you are. You're the biggest loser. Sorry, I didn't mean to like out of this situation. You're like you're a great you're great. You're great in regular life, but in this situation, Dubnation, the fans, the Golden State, they lose out. I mean, the Warriors like literally don't have a full squad right now, and they will play like next month. They will be playing basketball next month, and like they are a cluster right now, right? But it's not too late. It still isn't too late. I think that there can be some middle ground, and in terms of free agents, Al Horford, I'm not as big of a fan as many people are. However, I'm a big fan of Malcolm Brogdon. I really like what he could bring. I think that he could actually unlock. I think that Malcolm Brogdon could unlock Pajensky a little bit, take some of the ball handling responsibilities out of Pajensky's hands and make Pajensky the playmaker, which is interesting. You're like, what? But he's not ball handling, but he's playmaking? Yes, correct. In terms of connecting, things that don't necessarily require, pounding the rock. So, yeah, you and I am. In Dubnation, including C-Train Station, and Stephen Curry, the biggest losers so far this offseason. The Warriors can still redeem themselves. Let's have a little bit of hope, but you don't have to have patience. This is unprecedented. Like, I don't know what the Warriors are doing right now. So, if you think that you know what the Warriors are doing, comment below. Let's see Train Station know, right? And I think that the Warriors would find that good, and Kuminga, because they'd be like, all right, maybe there is some direction. But no, I think that I've given you my 2 cents on where it stands right now, including the latest offer. I do not think that things are irreconcilable between the Warriors and Kuminga. And I think Kuminga actually has a place on the Warriors squad, despite the fact that he doesn't necessarily fit very well and his deficiencies. No problem whatsoever. Seriously. The Warriors have won a championship with him, and they've won without him. And I think either is possible again. You know what else is possible? If you like, follow, and subscribe for your Warriors content. Hey, I'll see you next time at C-Train Station. Have a good one. Thanks again for watching. Take care.